Good afternoon, everybody. It's Lorraine with Alternative Homesteading. I hope everybody's doing well on this Sunday. When I woke up this morning, it was 27 degrees. It was cold and overcast and kind of dreary and stuff. But that's usually the case when we have X's in the sky the night before. Just saying. Anyway, it actually looks like it could snow. I hope not. I haven't checked the forecast, but I wanted to see how everybody was doing. And I wanted to ask you guys, how often do you eat out? And do you cook mostly at home? And I'll tell you why I ask. When I lived in New Jersey, I ate out, maybe once or twice a week. And I usually go to Panera, or I would go to Wegmans and go to the takeout section. And usually, almost every day, I would go to the bagel store and get a bagel in the morning after I fed the cats. Of course, that was during the time when that police officer was stalking me at the bagel store, but I digress. And then when I moved to Kentucky, I think I only brought takeout once or twice from a local diner. They had like some homemade pie and stuff. And then they closed down. So I actually cook everything from scratch. Everything, like I use a lot of the farm eggs, from my hens. I order a lot of organic food from vitacost.com. No, I'm not affiliated, and Misfits Market. And then, I'll go into town and get frozen foods and fruits and vegetables and stuff. But I cook everything myself. So this morning, I wanted to make cranberry sauce. I've been having a hard time finding it. I guess cranberries are hard to come by, and the cranberry sauce has been really costly. And most of the cranberry sauce that you find in the stores is not organic. It has a lot of a high fructose corn syrup, and I just don't like that. So I looked on YouTube, and I found a Jill Winger, and I followed her recipe, but I changed it up a little bit. And I added cinnamon, and instead of using orange juice, I used orange mango juice, and it's absolutely delicious. I also added a very small mandarin orange, and I cooked it with the honey that she suggested. Honey instead of sugar, and it's just so yummy. Like, I feel like I could just eat it right out of the jar now. But I just wanted to share that with you. I wanted to find how many other people cook for themselves, or if you just eat out or fast foods or whatever. But I found an article, or I should say it was delivered to me, and of course it's always synchronous, but I'm already subscribed to this newsletter. It is with Functional Medicine University, and they are an alternative medicine. I hate to use the word medicine. Alternative health newsletter. So the subject of this research is mycotoxins, which is mold and anxiety. It is by Ronald Grisanti. He's a chiropractor, and he's got a master's, etc. So let me just turn this article around so I could read it a little bit better. Hopefully it'll turn. Okay, here we go. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because a lot of targeted people, including myself, have mentioned that they create mold situations in the house, that they intentionally mold things. Like, you can see the photos and shorts on my channel of what they do to my fruit and vegetables. Now, this is organic food, folks. Sometimes it's only a half a day old, and they're able to mold it intentionally with whatever device that they're using, the technology that they use. So this is the article here, folks. Mycotoxins, mold, and anxiety. And I'll just show you here, and I will post a link to it so you can find it. It's a Functional Medicine University. Here's their phone number. So they have classes where you can get credit for them and stuff. Some of them can be in person, I believe, and some of them are online. But we'll focus on Silva's cute little kitty cat here. You know that Silva has an eBay store, and she paints these adorable little cats doing these cute little cat things. So let's start here. There is emerging evidence between depression, anxiety, and exposure to mold has surfaced. It is thought to be associated with many complex health problems. Black mold species such as Aspergillus, Fusarium, and Stachybotrys produce mycotoxins that are toxic to central parts of the body, including, folks, the brain. Many mycotoxins are neurotoxins causing lesions in the brain, in the gray matter and white matter. This directly affects the frontal cortex, causing dopamine dysfunction, which can create psychological disorders like anxiety and depression. These disorders occur when the nerve cells in the brain that make dopamine are slowly destroyed. Without dopamine, the nerve cells in that part of the brain cannot properly send messages. Hey folks, I wonder how many elderly people that get labeled with Alzheimer's basically have mold in their homes. I have to wonder, because remember, a lot of times when you get older, let's say you're living in an older home and maybe your eyesight isn't that good, you might not notice that there are mold situations. Or if you do, are not aware of how toxic they are or how to mitigate it. So let's go on here. Mold is a biotoxin, and it releases toxic gas and spores into the air. When the toxins enter your body via skin or air, the toxic gases cause a disturbance in many organs, including your brain. Brown University conducted a series of cases linking mold, anxiety, and depression back to 2007. This was a large study analyzing data from 5,882 adults and in 2,982 households. Molds are toxins, and some research has indicated that these toxins can affect the nervous system or the immune system or impede the function of the frontal cortex. Mold spores act as irritants, which can trigger the body to mount an immune response. So this can lead to inflammation throughout the body. Inflammation in the brain can impair cognitive function. And in the case of chronic inflammation, this can lead to long-lasting cognitive impairment. Mold is sometimes silent, yet formidable trigger of symptoms. It is lurking in our homes, offices, cars, washing machines, and bathrooms without notice. It is quite literally a silent but deadly killer of our immune system and trigger brain-related issues. So if you've been exposed, you must detox mold from your body as soon as possible. One of the best tests to detox mycotoxins is from Great Plains Laboratory, and there's a link here. I'll post it. Here's a sample report from Great Plains Laboratory. So if you find you have mold mycotoxin exposure, it is recommended to consult with your physician for the best treatment. It is also imperative to do a deep dive into your home or work environment to identify where the mold is coming from. If mold is discovered, the next step is to hire a professional company to do a mold remediation. So now, folks, this is really interesting. Since these criminals intentionally like to mold your food, the air that you live in, I wonder how many people have been affected by this. How many of the health issues that people are experiencing are basically mold related. I wonder about the anxiety and depression in our children that are being instigated because of mold. And what about mold in the schools and the air ducts in the schools how often do they clean the air ducts in schools? I will tell you a very quick story. In Manalapan, New Jersey, where I lived, the local courthouse in Freehold, and I intuitively knew what the problem was. There was a corner of the courthouse that suddenly all of the people got sick. They had headaches. They were vomiting. They were calling out sick and whatever. And it was an entire area of the building. And then it kind of spread to another portion of the building. And they shut that portion down for a few days. And I knew, inherently I knew, it's called sick building syndrome, right, folks? I don't know if you've heard of that. It was back in the day. When I was a corporate human resources manager, it was called sick building syndrome. Basically, what it is, the air ducts, the air conditioning, the heating in buildings, how often do they clean it out? There's mold and mildew that builds up in there, dust, because these windows are closed. They're sick buildings. The windows are closed. There's no ventilation. And the only ventilation is through these air ducts that they are not cleaning. Sometimes for years and years. It could be 10, 20 years. These air ducts are not being cleaned. And the mold is building up. The water's building up. Let's say you have a leak in a roof. And it leaks into the air ductwork, and that is what happened at the courthouse, the Freehold Courthouse, the Monmouth County Courthouse in New Jersey, years ago. That's exactly what happened. So, folks, this is something that happens in what I call, it's a sick building syndrome. But the criminals like to do it to us. And as I mentioned previously on my videos, that the former owner, he was 96 years old when he passed. He was quite incredible, remarkable man. He kept everything impeccable, but these criminals kept coming onto the property, vandalizing it. They wanted to steal from him. He did file complaints and stuff. Of course, nothing was done about it to him either. But his mobile home trailer was filled with black mold, and I can attest to it. It was disgusting. And I thought to myself, how could he have allowed this to happen? And you know what, folks? I really think it was out of his control. I believe that it was being done intentionally to him. I believe, well, there are a couple of things. Some of the plants and trees they were too close to his mobile home trailer. And I know because I had to have them cut down. And when you have too many trees very close to a house, it's not good. It's not good. You know, it creates a lot of moisture, a lot of dampness and stuff. So that was one thing that was problematic. But that did not account for a lot of the other things that were going on in his house that had to have been done physically. I mean, it's not like he was a huge man, right? He was a very slight man, you know, low weight, and he was impeccable with everything else in his life. He would wear a little bow tie on Sundays and a top hat and shiny shoes and a pressed shirt and all that stuff. So it just made no sense to me that he had this toxic black mold all over. But now I know that the criminals, the powers that be, were doing it intentionally. And of course, there was the help of the natural environment here, the age of his house, etc. But I do believe that he was taken advantage of, and eventually he did develop pneumonia and died in the month of July. But I'm going to post these links for you when I get onto my laptop and this uploads. But, have any of you experienced black mold in your houses, and what did you do for it? Were you able to just wipe it clean? Do you know of anybody else that had these kind of anxiety and depression symptoms that came out of the blue? But of course, as targeted people, we know that the pulse microwave radiation can do this, the directed energy weapons. And of course, they come into our homes and they spray smart dust and all that nice stuff. But but I hope everybody's doing okay, and welcome to the newcomers. I so appreciate everybody's feedback. I'm getting some amazing feedback, and I'm learning so much from you guys. So, and I also appreciate that you appreciate my channel and the information I'm putting out there to help other people. Please like, comment, share if you feel inclined to do so. And all is well here. For the time being. You know how the criminals work, right? They'll be good for a day, and then it's like gangbusters. This is Lorraine, Alternative Homesteading, signing off for now.